Okay, so today we're looking at 8.3 day 2, surface area and volume of prisms and pyramids. It's a very, very quick lesson. You'll do this on your own basically, but I'll give you some hints. So the first question here asks us to estimate the volume of this shed. How would you go about estimating? Well, one thing is to take a closer look at the shed. If you want to get some bearings and try and use some comparables in a photograph to help you out. So if you're looking at these cement tiles, I guess you could say, or patio slabs, the width of one of these is generally 24 inches. So if that's 24 inches and you cover approximately 4 of these, you'll notice that this does not begin right at the end, nor does it leaves a space at the end here as well. So basically, if the shed were shifted over this way a smidgen, it might end up around here to the end. And so if you measured that, you'd be looking at, about approximately 3 full cement slabs wide. And then you're gonna have to use that kind of information to estimate. You might use a ruler and measure that and figure out how many wide this way it is this way. Is that 3? Is it 4, etc. Then you're also again going from 24 inches for this, 24 inches wide for that, and 24 inches wide for that. And you may have to use a conversion tool to put that into centimeters or meters, whatever you plan on using as your units of measurement. Meters sounds reasonable. You also have this fence to try and determine the height. This fence, generally fences are about 6 feet tall, but again, you might estimate what the 24 inches might be here type thing, and maybe have 4. It's about 4 high. You can think of that, and you get the dimensions because you want length times width times height for volume. And you may want to split this shed up into something like this, where you have the base structure of the shed, something like that. And then you also have the triangular prism of the roof structure, but as a separate structure, right? You might want to do something like that, where you have this as a separate structure, and then calculate the volume of the triangular prism separately. You can estimate what the height is, estimate what that length is right there, half the shed. You'll know that because you'll know it's half the base, same thing. And then estimate the height, and then you can automatically figure out what the base times height divided by 2 is, the area of that triangle, and then you should already know the depth, that length right there. Okay? So figure out the 2 areas, add them together. When you're doing your work, it would be, if you labeled something like this, 1 and 2, you might say area of 1 equal, and then the volume of 1, I apologize. You want to do I asked you to estimate the volume, so just the volume would be good enough. So the volume of 1 equal area of base times height, and that would be for the triangular prism, and the volume of the second one would be length times width times height. Okay, and you're going to add those 2 together, and you'll have your total volume equal. So set that up separately, maybe 1 here, 1 here, and then the total at the end, and away you go with that. Then it asks you to use your graphing display calculator to calculate the total cost of these materials to build a shed. So here are materials you might need. Figure out the total cost by entering the total in each of these blanks, and then you'll have, of course, a sum total of how much it's going to cost you for everything. And that's it. All right, and then you have a good idea of what it costs to build a shed. See you in class.